Build update. Take about 4. Bendix rotors, Bendix pads. Polypro radius arm and lower control arm. It's SY2 stuff, so SY2 upgraded knuckle, no more ball joint problems. New power steering rack, boots, arms, all that sort of stuff. Heavy duty adjustable Swaybar links. This is the newer design shock from about, I think it's 2007, 2008 on. It actually has a shorter spring, like the spring seat's higher, so it clears the Swaybar on drop. Whiteline upper arms, aero adjustable camber mounts. It's a Gabriel shock, king spring, raised king spring, Superpro spring seat. There's about 37mm of spacers at the top, strut top spacers. Safebrake braided lines, extended 50mm. Swaybar D-link is Nolathane, the greaseless ones, they're good. As for the diff bushes, they're no good, they distraught. I'm about to replace them with Polypro ones. New drive shaft. Just a cheap eBay one. So far they've done about 20,000 Ks and I've never had a problem. Snatch point. Front pretty much. For the rear, got Rancho 3-inch lifted Navarro shocks. The upper mounts upgraded with bigger bolts, rethreaded, redone. They're damper adjustable. If you look down here, damper adjustable shocks. They've got to be spaced out for a bit of clearance. Safebrake braided lines, extended 50mm again. The upper control arm, I was using the Polypro ones until I bent one. This is a no name brand one. It's got a thicker, it's thicker and hopefully it won't bend. That's a work in progress. I might change that at some point for something custom made. Raised king springs. Superpro 10mm spring seat top and bottom. The bottom's got the 30mm Polypro Jeep spacer and the pipe welded inside so the spring can't pop out. Whiteline lower control arm. No Swaybar. Superpro diff bushes. Redone the bolts too the other way around so you can actually remove the arm without having to remove the diff. Again, eBay drive shafts. They seem to be bigger than the factory ones and I haven't had a problem yet. DBA slotted rotors, Bendix pads. Now the blade arms are factory and they run a Polypro bush. I like them bushes because the arm can't actually move, unlike some of the other ones. And the mounts themselves, I've actually dropped. The reason I dropped them, if you can see that, was to try and align the rear properly again. With lifting it, pulls it all forward. With now dropping the mounts, it's pulled it back to normal alignment. Next problem I have is my toe arms. I'm at the max adjustment and it's still not quite enough. I still toe in at the rear. So I got to get adjustable ones of them made up. Rear tyre carrier made myself, swings away. It's to hold the bigger wheel because the bigger wheel won't fit underneath. It's still independent of the tow bar, so it doesn't actually affect that, it just mounts up to the side of it. DEA 2.5-inch catback exhaust. bumpers cut to suit. Flares are slimline flares of an NP300 Navara. Tyres are 265/70 17 or 31.6 inch wheel. Pair of Goodridge all trains, KO2s. Still reckon you can't beat them. The rims are 17/8 minus 25 offset. They're actually a burnout rim, so they're multi-stud. They're for Ford and Commodore. Only problem I have with them is if I let the tyres down too much, I still seem to get stuff in the side. So I'm looking at modifying bead lockers to suit them. Hopefully solve that problem. No more flat tyres. Got King's lights on the sides. Great for when you're pulling a camp, side, rear. Still got the solar panel. Max tracks. Can't go without them. Dune awning. King's front LED light bar. Inside still pretty plain. I haven't put the carpet back in since I flooded it. I'll get around to that. Switches, fans, lights, all that sort of stuff. Couple of gauges, oil pressure, transmission temperature, UHF. Seat covers are off eBay, fitted seat covers from eBay. I actually recommend them. They actually fit pretty good for something that I thought was cheap. And bull bar is a factory Patrol alloy bull bar, which was cut in half. Cut about 80mm out of it. Stuck it back together, welded it all up. Cut the loops off the side. King's 7-inch spotlights. It's got the sand flag mount for it too. UHF antenna. The snorkel I changed. I did have a Navara one. I've gone to the PK Ranger. It suits the Territory bodyline a lot better. We'll get around to doing a video on how to install them. I haven't cleaned under here anytime recently, but this is what it is. It's got catch can, aeroflow fittings, aeroflow silicone hoses and different silicone hoses around the place just to clean things up. Dress up parts like the cover on the power steering, Empire Aero, so forth, computer cover, caps, so forth. It's got 50mm alloy radiator, AC delete, so it runs a reverse pulley and a shorter belt, along with the underdrive kit, underdrive pulleys, remote oil filter, it's down there, mace, plenum spacer, homemade custom intake piping, Super G Auto air filter. I think that's most of it. Tyre extractors, 2.5-inch pipe, high flow cap, diff grievers. Underneath it runs power steering cooler, transmission cooler, oil cooler. And there, there's an extra fan as well when you sit on the tracks, just to give that bit of extra cooling. Normally it has the bash plates on. It's a factory bash plate, and then a stainless steel custom made one for the front. Just gives that extra bit of a ramp, but the standard one doesn't. That's pretty much the gist of it. A lot of new parts on it, like lights are new, indicators are new, There's done the center bearing and uni joint the other day in the tail shaft, rebuilt that. Done all the diff oils, transfer oils, all that sort of stuff. It's pretty much all of it from the top of my head. I've probably forgotten a few things. That's the most of it. Any questions? Feel free to ask. The next couple of days I actually got to drop the whole front out, and I got to change the third diff bush and change those crappy Nolathane bushes. In the rear I normally run the Triton drawers and the fridge and the battery. That's all out at the moment. I've got to put it back in, and I'll go into it in another video. I'll go into spare parts I carry and spare parts, recovery gear, all that. I'll go into another video on that. But that's the gist of it. Another thing I made was this rear jack thing plate, which has been awesome off-road. Because the normal jack doesn't have the height to lift it up anymore, so that thing's good. Still got to make one for the front, but I'll get around to that. A few other parts. Talking about some motors. Here's another brand new Ford front diff. 410 gears. Hopefully I can stick an LSD in that one in the future and install that. Got things like bar mat. Also got a box full of coolers. Let me know if you want a cooler. Send me an email or a message. We can sort something out. There's other spare parts up here, like I've got to do the front diff bushes like I said. And then there's a third one. Use a Superpro third one. Long awaited locker. Keep talking about that. Hopefully I'll get around to installing that soon. I'll probably pay someone else to install that one. Simpler. There's other Superpro things, I don't know. I have these ideas and they don't always pan out. There's spare drive shafts. I've got plenty of spare drive shafts. Haven't really had a problem with drive shafts, but they're there. They're spare parts if I need them. There's the winch plate and the winch. Really got to get around to welding that in as well. For those who want to know about the spare tyre carrier, I've got spare parts here to make more of them. Once I get to it, time's a big factor. Lots of other territory parts around. Plus another entire car out the back. There's the Triton drawers that I was talking about. They're out of the car at the moment, plus the fridge. The battery's over there on charge somewhere. It's all stuff that's just work in progress.